Hi, I'm Cass Whitaker from Wordcraft, and I'm about to be on the Online Prosperity Show, where we'll talk about content, copywriting, brand strategy, and how I went from call center operator to head of content and beyond.
Welcome again to the Online Prosperity Show, the top spot for insider insights, powerful solutions, and behind the scenes strategies that genuinely help entrepreneurs to thrive. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today I think we're bringing you something very special, an exclusive interview and conversation with none other than Cass Whitaker. Cass, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. I seriously, like I told you earlier on, I'm like shaking literally in my boots right now because I know the kind of work that you put out there and the work you've done creating Wordcraft, and we're going to hear all about it today. So I'm a little bit starstruck.
That's kind of nice. I don't know. I'm not used to that, so I feel like I get starstruck with everyone. So
Well, that's fantastic. Now, for those that are watching right now, Cass is the brains behind Wordcraft, a brand strategy and copywriting agency in Melbourne that helps service-based professionals amplify their message and grow their visibility. Now, here's the thing. As I said, we're going to be going through her hero's journey as to how she became who she is and why. Like I keep saying, I'm a little nervous to be doing this podcast interview today. Before she launched Wordcraft, Cass actually watched her content and all the work that she was doing, just getting credited to other channels or sales teams that she was working around. And I think that's a very familiar thing to a lot of copywriters out there or content strategists out there, because content is king. So that frustration is what many of you feel when you actually see that your voice is being overshadowed or overlooked, yet you're doing all the heavy lifting, in terms of getting people to move from where they are to where they want to be. So in this show, this is where we're going to unmask those struggles together and see what Cass has actually done with the rocks that were thrown at her. So get ready to laugh, reflect, and maybe nod along thinking, that sounds like me, because today we're going to be hearing Cass' story, which is a story of resilience, a bit of imposter syndrome, and a few quirky typewriter jokes here and there. And apparently there's a bowling team we all should be on the lookout for, which is called Project Zeus. And we'll hear all about it and all the thunder and lightning they throw in some 10-pin bowling venue near you, and see why Cass is the person to be your guide, especially when it comes to creating content that actually tells and does a little less selling. All right, so to kick things off, I think there's a bit of a fun fact here. Cass, apparently you still remember your call center number, and not necessarily one thing that a lot of people would remember, but what's the significance with this number here, 678387?
yeah, I my first, I guess, full-time big person job after I graduated uni was in a call center. And so every phone call I started, I had to go, hi, this is Cass. Welcome to Telstra. My employee number is D678387. And it's just ingrained in my mind. Yeah. And like every single note that you had to leave inside the client's accounts, you'd have to be like, D678387, upgraded mobiles or solved complaint, etc. So it's just, it's stuck in my brain. Most people, like my husband worked at Telstra. My best mate also worked at Telstra. Half my wedding were Telstra employees. And they all know their D numbers too. Like they're just stuck in your brain. So
Absolutely. Now that explains why at some point I made a call to Telstra and I was told to wait for 45 minutes. It's because everybody was at your wedding, right?
yeah, probably. Although a
So
few of us had moved on from, we'd all moved on from Telstra by then, so there's a few of us there.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for giving us that tidbit of information. But obviously, by you repeating that number all the time, did that then shape your identity, or did you try as much as possible to get the other person to know you are not just a number?
Yeah, I think what you just said then, the opposite, that I wasn't just a number. Like I've always loved to write, and at that period of my life I was thinking I wanted to be, I guess a little influencer and write about my life story on Medium and things like that. And um one of the articles that I wrote back then was, no one will remember you for your job title. And I wrote that, I think, because I was so angry about my job title at the time, like call center operator. They didn't even call us call center operator. They called us customer first champions. And that just, oh my God, it felt as cringe as it sounds. So, um, yeah, I think I've really made a point to try and yeah, not worry too much about the job titles, worry about helping people, but also actually see the humans behind the screen and, not get too caught up in being angry at things or vice versa. So
Absolutely, and thank you so much. I mean, obviously, back then you would have been young and at a formidable stage. What brought you to start working at companies like that? What was the allure to a profession like that?
at Telstra, so I was living in Adelaide, where I'm from, and Uh, weirdly, actually, I'd applied for a job at Telstra back when I was in high school because I'd convinced myself briefly that I was done with school and I was just going to go work in a call center and then write in my spare time, and I would be an author by the time I was 25. They rejected me, which I'm grateful for because I was, 16. It's probably better that I finished school and went to uni. So, um, yeah, and I saw another job come up when I'd just come home from England. I'd gone overseas and lived in England for 6 months. And when I came home, I was like, oh, I'm going to go straight back overseas. But I need some money first. So, yeah, this job for Telstra came up, and I remembered that I'd applied in the past. And I thought, why not apply again? Really, I think my mindset was like, I like the internet. Selling the internet will be easy. um, yeah, so I applied, got the job that time. I found out later that they typically don't accept anyone unless they have a tertiary degree because they want to make sure that the people on the phone, have that kind of like critical thinking um, and stuff. But yeah, so I applied, got the job, and then I did something really stupid and I got a car loan. And so going overseas with a car loan was just not going to happen. So I moved out with some friends, and yeah, then I don't know, a couple of years later, I was like, am I just going to stay here in this call center or am I going to do something else? So yeah. um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
There's quite a lot to unpack from that.
Yeah.
You did mention, and from what I can hear, writing has always been a theme in the sort of things that you were doing. When did you sort of
Yeah.
discover that I could be good at this?
I mean, I remember getting my first journal when I was 11. And I mean, they were terrible entries. It was things like, um, today I went to my dad's house. It was fun and things like that. Actually, Peppa Pig does an episode on this, where they read her mum's old journal, and it's just things like that where it's just like, today I did this, and I'm like, oh God, all of us are the same when we're younger. Um, but yeah, so yeah, I was journaling, and then what I actually used to do is, I think this was like pre fan fiction. I would read a book that I really liked, and then I would go and try and write the story from memory of what happened. And I think that was kind of the main way I learned how to write really well because, just practice and repetition. Oh, if you go, I've still got some of those books, and if you go and look at what I wrote, my God, it was terrible. Like all of the good pacing and you know uh visual kind of cues to let the reader see what was happening in their mind. I had none of that, but I was very young, so I'll forgive myself. And yeah, around 15, I I started writing short stories and novels and things like that. I actually won an award for a campaign called Voices. Is it Voices Against Hope? Voices for Hope? Yeah, Voices for Hope. It wouldn't be against hope.
Mhm.
It was, yeah. Um, my society and environment teacher basically said you can either do this uh, essay and research project, or he's like, I'm letting students submit to Amnesty International's Stopping Violence Against Women Voices for Hope kind of program, and you can do that in lieu of doing the essay. And I went down that path because he was mean and scary in the loveliest way possible. He was actually a lovely teacher, but he was very critical because he wanted to get the best out of you. So I was like, well, I'm just going to submit the story because he's not marking it. And then I ended up coming first place in South Australia, so for my writing. So that was pretty cool. Um, yeah, and then for a while, I thought I wanted to be like a TV show runner, or like even a magazine editor. All these different ideas, and like always wanted to be a novelist, but I kind of thought that the novel would come later in the career, and I would have other writing career in the meantime. Marketing, honestly, never once came up. It never really occurred to me that there was so much writing in marketing until I got older and found myself in a marketing role just by accident. So,
Now, you see, and
yeah.
congratulations on winning this award, because I think things like that actually then validate that I actually do have a skill in what I'm doing here.
Mm.
And, it will encourage you to keep moving forward and things of that nature. So that's pretty cool. So you did a bit of a stint in the UK, like you mentioned, and obviously
Yeah.
you are moving away from home and going to a place that obviously is unknown. What was that sort of experience like for you?
I mean, it was 6 months overseas, study abroad. So I was finishing off my uni degree there. Got to live on campus. Had never seen snow before, so that was pretty cool. Um, and yeah, I mean, when I would think about from leaving Adelaide to getting there, it would be quite overwhelming. But I was like, just take it all step by step, and it'll be fine. And it was. I was a lot less uptight in my early 20s, so I could just go, it's all right, I'll just figure it out, it'll be fine. There is no way I could do that now. But yeah, so went there, met a lot of great people. Some of them I still talk to now. It's been, God, like 12 years, 13 years, even longer. I forget how old I am. um, I was there at 21 and I'm 35 now. So what is that? 14 years.
14
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I I wrote a lot then. I've got the journals from that time as well. Um, Went and saw a few psychics in Dublin, in Ireland.
I was
They,
beginning of life. Eh,
yeah, I reckon this psychic predicted me marrying my husband, but I mean, it's been 14 years. My memory's a bit, maybe I've just imagined that that's the story she told me. So,
Absolutely. But you
Yeah.
see, the thing about going somewhere else, which is not
Mm.
home, it really, by definition, you're a rookie. You're learning the ways of the land. You're learning the way people are, and that really gets you to pay attention to what is happening. Whereas when you're just in the same environment, everything just becomes a blur and things of that nature. So I think this would have really helped with your writing. So you came back, and obviously, like you said, Telstra had their doors open, and
Hmm.
finally a car partner and a number emerged.
Hmm. Yep.
Great stuff. What the days that you were at Telstra, you did mention obviously it was customer service and things like that. Was there anything that would have then maybe showed you the path that you were going to take on, or were you just doing your job?
Uh, it was Telstra that helped me get there, actually. So I um, ended up getting a job in their social media department. So it started off largely as community management, which, so responding to, the messages that customers would send on social media, usually screenshots of the whole time,
Yeah.
things like that. And yeah, I got the opportunity to write a bit of content for the business while I was in that role. So I wrote a few blogs for their internal intranet, and then uh, a couple of external ones for their. I actually can't remember the name. It was a specific blog, like a Telstra lifestyle blog or something like that they had that we got to write a couple of things for as well. Um, so I did that, and then it kind of occurred to me that if I could write blogs and things like that for a company, that would be a great little job for me while I was still building my kind of novel career goals. And at the same time, my husband and I, we weren't married then, but we decided we wanted to move to Melbourne because he has a law degree and was also working in the call center, and was like, well, if I move interstate, I'm more likely to get a job. Um, so we both agreed to move to Melbourne together, and that's when I applied for a marketing coordinator role at another telco, but like two people, two people size business instead of however many million Telstra have, or thousands, hundreds of thousands Telstra has. So yeah, went there, and yeah, it was writing content. It was the first experience I had with writing SEO content. I did a lot of social media, organic social media for on Facebook. Typically, it was back then, and yeah, helped like project manage rebuilding their website. Ran a couple of paid ads. Was awful at it. Still am awful at it. Don't hire me for paid advertising. I can write your ads copy pretty well, but the thought of like actually running the campaign and the money stresses me out. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
You see, the thing that I like about this is so many people start off already within the marketing sort of industry, but you kind of fell into it and then utilized your people skills and the writing confidence that you already had built up. And now this is what Wordcraft has become. Because I find those that start off as marketing, they already have, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So you're
yeah,
bringing in the people aspect to all of this and stuff like that. So don't worry about ads. And I think those that end up doing ads haven't done the work actually. So you wouldn't want to be there in the first place. So all good. So,
yeah.
but you moving to Melbourne in 2006 and
Mm.
obviously working across agencies, what was then the moment that you realized, you know what? Content is actually doing a lot of the heavy lifting here than, just being a nice to have thing that somebody has to approve.
Yeah, I think it would have been when I was the content lead at Impressive. So we during COVID actually. So I'd been, I'd worked at a couple, like another agency before that, and then I moved to Impressive, and I became the head of content. And it wouldn't have been the first year. It would have been closer to during COVID. A lot of our clients were pausing, which was pretty common at the start of COVID. Everyone got a bit nervous before the massive pivots happened and everything. And my team of, I think there was like 8 or 9 of us at the time, was the only team that was really busy at this particular point. Like we were just working nonstop. And I just remember thinking like, well, content's, keeping the lights on for at least our agency and also for clearly a lot of other businesses, given we're producing so much. So we need to make sure that we're actually being recognized for that kind of work. And I started speaking to my manager, Mark Charlery, at the time, who I have shouted out on LinkedIn before. So a little shout out again for him. And the head of finance at the time as well. And we worked out a structure to make sure that, content as a team became profitable, because all the work we were doing was never really assigned to a deal. It was just like we were like an internal cost, I suppose. So we actually made sure that we were budgeted correctly and had profitability, and that meant that there was recognition for the kind of work and time we were putting in more so. And I think that, yeah, that was kind of a big turning point for me. I did go through a phase after that when I came back from maternity leave, though, where I tried to distance myself from being a writer. It's a weird thing, but, when you've been doing something for so long, you start to kind of go, oh, well, anyone can do this. And you kind of forget that it's actually a really valuable skill. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people come to the internet to get information, and if your brand or business is the one that's providing it, then people get to learn a little bit more. And it's quite sad that, like you say, there's no profit attribution to the actual content, because content is what really builds a lot of online businesses, and it's, yeah, and things of that nature. So by people get a little bit confused when you start talking in terms of content. What sort of stuff were you sort of creating that kept the lights on?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I have actually tried to start referring to it more as copywriting these days, because we weren't content. So content meant writing in the agency, and we then had creative, which meant the design. So a bit confusing to people outside of the industry, because content could also just be video and and everything. So yeah, it was all copywriting, and it was largely at the time SEO copywriting. So blog content, optimizing product pages and service pages and things like that. We did also write ebooks, and then our designer would go and design them and make them look pretty, which would typically be used for lead generation. That was the bulk of our work. I really quite enjoyed writing the big ebooks, because it felt almost like a massive research project. um, but yeah, so yeah, like I said, I try to refer to content now as copywriting to kind of limit that disconnect, but old habits die hard, and occasionally I end up saying content again. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because somebody might think, oh, maybe I should just keep doing my reels and that will keep the lights on, And when
I mean, for some people it might. Reels seem to really go off for people, but it's just I'm not a video editor. I've done it. I've done it before. I was a marketing manager at my last job, and I um did everything, and then I've had a few side hustles over the years where I was shooting video and editing it, but it's so time consuming. Like, massive props to the people who do it and do it well.
absolutely. And what I liked also about what you're saying is the kind of content you were putting out there was to empower and educate, the audiences that were then going to consume that content. And I'm really trying to make this acronym a thing to say simply
Mm.
educating others, because so many people really also get caught up in the SEO side, the technical side of it. Whereas if you just educate your audience, they get to understand what it is that you do. And when they pick up the phone, they actually now understand what to ask you to
Yeah.
help them
I
with. And
like that. Simply educating others. That's really cool.
great stuff. But you obviously did all this, kept the business afloat during COVID and things of that nature. But
I will qualify it was for a little period of time, and then when the massive pivot came in and everyone was like, "Oh, I know how to get my business working," like the paid teams went crazy and they were way busier than us. It was just that, that first period when we all locked down,
yes.
everyone was so uncertain. It was just like, what are we going to do? So there was probably like a month to 6 weeks where we were the busiest.
Yeah.
And then everyone went, oh, well, if we're in this, let's figure it out. And it flipped and the paid teams went crazy busy. We were all busy.
Yeah.
I honestly I feel for the people during that period that didn't have work to do because like what do you do just sitting around at home? I was working like 14 hours a day. At least I was busy. But
Mm.
and I didn't have a toddler at the time. So
I,
that would
I
have been tough.
I clearly remember that moment. While everybody else was coughing into their elbows, you guys were busy trying to make sure that the businesses are kept afloat. And yes, you're right. People were looking to the internet to get information and also
Mm,
direction. And those that took the lead and actually directing people as to what to do and how to do it through content would have actually made leaps and bounds. And yeah, like I said, when things
yeah.
started subsiding, the people went back in their ways and ads started taking precedent. And they obviously may have seen that happening, which then led to you being made redundant in the last year. Is that correct?
No, I left Impressive when I went on maternity leave. So yeah, I had my daughter in January 2022 and was due to return to Impressive in July that year. It kept getting delayed because I was building a house at the same time in a completely different location to where we were currently living. And I didn't want to put Molly into childcare there. And then after like a month when our new house was built, have to move childcare. So I was just delaying going back, which was a bit of a pain. And then I ended up uh, getting an opportunity to go work at an agency that did not only digital marketing but above the line advertising as well. So TV planning and buying, billboards, radio ads, and I thought that would be a great opportunity to learn that side of the marketing world as well. And so I decided instead of returning, I would take that role instead. And I think it was the right move because I mean the impressive they had I would have only been going back part time, so being the head of content part time felt a bit odd. And they'd hired someone that'd come in, and I thought she'd do a great job, so I moved on, and I got exposed to the big bad world of non-attributable marketing, as I like to call it.
Absolutely. But things like that where there's no direct recourse to,
Mm.
like profits or anything else, like there's no direct correlation that what you guys are doing has some sort of bottom line impact. That must have created a bit of imposter syndrome, questioning, do what I do actually matter, or am I actually making any impact to whatever it is that we're bringing together?
Yeah, I think with so if we had bigger clients, they would obviously do media mix modeling. So they would be able to kind of determine whether their spend was valuable, but um, it was harder for smaller clients. Like you can't, and this is something I've had to explain to some of my clients recently. Like I did a brand strategy for a client, just recently, and he wants to put up billboards, and he was like, I want to make sure that I get a return on investment for my billboard. And I had to explain, there, unless you are, such a big company that you have this kind of technology available to you to do the media mix modeling, you're not going to get a direct attribution to a billboard. Because if you think about it, even if you put a special phone number on there, which is what he was planning to do, so any phone calls to that phone number, he'd be like, oh, well, it was because of the billboard. But that's not how people, use billboards. They see them and it's like a little memory trigger, and then they forget about it. And then they'll probably go, if they do need your services and something sparked in their mind, they'll probably go Google you and call you through that number. So you won't get that attribution. And even if you said to them, like, oh, did you see my billboard or how did you find me? They're not going to remember. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And
that was definitely, yeah, definitely like a big challenge of explaining that. We did a lot of research at the time into attention. And believe it or not, the highest attention ads out there are cinema ads just before at the movies, just before you start playing the trailers and you get all those ads. They hold the highest level of attention out of all advertising.
I can only imagine because I don't know if you drive a lot in Melbourne, but if you see a billboard and it's got like scan a QR code, like who in their right mind is going to
Let
be
me just whip my
driving
phone out and right in front of the police. I'll just
right
whip
in
it
front of
out.
the police? Okay, that's one. And two, yeah, that just creates that, imprint of the brand. And it takes about 10 to 15, if I'm not mistaken, touch points for somebody to
Yeah.
actually have brand recall and things of that nature. Whereas with what you're saying, I'd not heard about that stat in and of itself when it comes to the cinema, but that person is sitting down. They're probably with somebody that they absolutely care about. And what is happening there is their whole focus is
Mm.
about what's about to happen in front of them. So obviously the attention is there. They will
Yeah.
recall whatever is
Yeah,
there.
that's it. It's
Yeah,
there's a lot more intent at the cinema to actually watch the screen. You've paid what, like, isn't it like $40 to go to the
yeah,
cinema these
exactly. So
days?
you want to make sure you're watching every angle
I'm
of.
paying I'm getting every minute's worth of time out of this screen.
Plus, there's also
So
something about the cinema. You know how they do those shorts, the movie trailers and stuff like that. The
yeah,
parts
yeah.
that then end up being in the cut are usually the very emotionally arousing segments. So you can imagine after that has happened and then a Coca-Cola advert pops up, people would actually
Mm.
just attribute that emotional elevation to the recall
Yeah,
of.
that's a really good point. Yeah. You're already kind of like feeling good, so you'll associate it with the brand. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No.
So, I mean, it's things like
Are you a
that.
marketer? Are you a marketer by any chance?
I
No,
did
that's
walk
good.
past a room while that they were talking about things of this nature. So, but obviously, you've come up and created Wordcraft. Tell us a little bit about your offerings and what it is that people usually come to you for.
Yeah, so I started Wordcraft. I mean, I started freelancing end of last year. After that's where I now got made redundant. It was end of last year. I'd moved in house and was doing a bit of everything, and then after that, I freelanced for a friend, just copywriting for email marketing typically, and I enjoyed it so much that I decided to kind of go all in and register my business, and so I started typically as like a brand strategy and content agency. And I do mean content in terms of I was intending on doing, subcontracting and having design work as well. But in the last few months, I have really streamlined my service offering. So I work exclusively with LinkedIn management. So doing copywriting, outreach, and engagement to help actually build brand presence. And that includes making sure that you've got a really clear message that people do remember. And I also then you'll appreciate this, Prosper. I then write and help with lead magnets and newsletters to get people off LinkedIn and into their database because we don't trust the social media platforms. So but yeah, so that's kind of my main service offerings now. And I the reason I streamlined it is because I think that I I believe that I can get really good results on doing these particular services, and I have gotten good results for my clients and for myself. I don't want to just promise to do everything because if you try to do everything, you end up doing nothing well.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what they
So,
say,
yeah.
you can't climb the ladder of success with your hands full. So if you're really trying to get something going, it's not gonna absolutely work. And I quite like what you're doing. And that's the reason why I did say I respect the work that you're doing, because not a lot of people see the essence of actually bringing people to your own owned platforms, which you can then
Yeah.
control the narrative. It's like that cinema scenario that you spoke about.
Mm.
People are being told you are sitting here and watching what we've got for you, instead of everybody being busy going elsewhere and
Yeah.
things of that nature. So that is a very good analogy to the kind of work that you're doing for the people there. And who would normally benefit from this cinema experience?
So I'm working with a lot of small business owners, those that need that help on getting clear. I work in either a done with you model where I teach and coach, and kind of do some workshops together, or I do a completely done for you where I just jump on a call with you once a month and I'm like, all right, let's figure out what's been going on in your life at the moment, in your business, and then go and take it away. And both, I think both work really well. It just depends on the person. Some people really don't want to outsource their voice. They want to be in control of it, and I totally respect that. I don't want to outsource mine. So, and then there's others that are like, I know this is really important, but I just don't care about doing it. So that's when they also come to me.
Absolutely. And when people are looking to say outsource their voice and things of that nature, where can they go to and maybe connect with you online?
Yeah, so you can go visit wordcraft.au. There is no .com in there, I know. And you can subscribe to my newsletter where I put together a lot of offers exclusive to my database. And there is also the option on the website to send me a DM on WhatsApp, or just fill in my contact form.
Absolutely. We'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below so that people can actually get started on that journey. Now, obviously,
Awesome.
Cash, you've told us your journey, where it all started, and how it all came to be and things of that nature. But there's a point where you're obviously working within other marketing agencies, and your income and salary was spoken for, obviously, or you
Mhm.
were guaranteed that sort of income. What was it like when you started going at it by yourself, from employee to solopreneur?
I mean, if it wasn't for my husband, I'd be eating a lot of 2 minute noodles. Yeah, it was scary. I mean, it was scary being made redundant. The job market is brutal at the moment. And I've said to you before, Prosper, that I don't think I'm employable at the moment. If I tried to get a job, no one would hire me because there's just so many applicants and so many people. And what seems to happen at the moment is you apply for a job and they say you don't have enough experience, or you'll apply for a job and they'll say that you're too experienced. So there's no middle ground. And yeah, so it was scary, but it's going really well. I joined a networking group, BNI, and that has been amazing for my business. Like the relationships I've built there, um, and the thank you for closed business that's come out of it already before my actual chapters even launched has been fantastic. So
Absolutely. See, some people really think that when you're going at it, everything has to be done by you, and things of that nature. But
Yeah.
if you want to go far, you go alone, and if you want to go further, you go together. And how instrumental is it as a business owner to have, first of all, a supportive network, and then second of all, a supportive partner? Because you are mentioning Molly or toddler, so that kind of means everything is happening all run about at the same time with kids around. You're trying to get client projects out and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's been a challenge trying to find the balance, I would say. That's another reason why I looked to streamline my services because, if you want to build a scalable business with, no employees and just some subcontractors, you need to know your processes really well and what you're really good at. Um, and yeah, having a support network around you is totally invaluable. I'm lucky that I do have a big marketing network from my previous roles, which I leaned on quite heavily at the start. But I wanted the reason I joined BNI wasn't to get leads. It was actually just to have that accountability piece once a week where I came into a room and met other business owners, and it's just kind of snowballed from there.
Oh, absolutely. And you're doing remarkable work. I mean, I've seen some of
Well,
the
thank
work that
you.
you're putting out there. So absolutely. But I mean, now that we've come full circle, you've created something that I feel like you've really found your home. You've brought together a unique skill set, which you started off writing, winning all those awards, and the travel experience that you had, giving you a world view that is like no other. And now you're putting all of that together in a really nice marketing package that people can actually utilize, not based on, know-how, but real world experience. Is there any maybe big misconception maybe about content marketing or copywriting that still surprises you that you've come across, or that people still sort of hold on to, yet it's no longer viable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that people think it's like paid ads more than they think they can just pop out a post and leads will come in, like they can turn it on and off, but it's a long game and you have to be consistent, you can't, like I would attribute liken it to saying you've got this relationship, this friend that you haven't spoken to in 6 months, and then you're like, oh, I need something, I'll give them a call and just pop out, just send a call and they'll be able to help me. Like, why would they help you? They haven't heard from you in 6 months. It's the same kind of thing. Like, if you're not actually engaging with your audience and being present, when you just pop in to ask for something on one post, they're just going to scroll right past you.
Oh, absolutely. And for those that are watching right now, I want you to drop in the comments there. What's one thing that you would like help with, especially when it comes to your content and marketing? Let us know. I think Cass might have the exact fix for that. Because so many people think, yep, you can just be a one-click wonder, show up today and then leads just start trickling, or put your number on a unique number on a billboard, and before you know it, you're going to be giving everyone in your office a new Telstra number, just so you can identify who to attribute the call to. So absolutely amazing. Cass, I can't thank you enough for the time that you spent on the call with me today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value for those that maybe just trying to figure out themselves. And you've literally used everything that you have acquired as you are becoming into the service provision that you are giving to others and things of that nature. But now that we're in your world, what's next? What are you working on that we should be very, very excited about? And
Uh, Yeah, I mean, it's very early days, but I am looking to build a bit of an online community to like carry on that done with you coaching services, just so I can, make it a lot more streamlined for myself, get other small business owners connected. Same kind of idea, right? Like around networking and being a community. I think it's really important and really helpful. So, stay tuned, sign up to my newsletter. That's where you'll first hear about it. But it's coming.
Definitely. And for those that are watching right now, you should check out the links in the show notes. That's where you'll find the link to the newsletter. And also check out the work that she's doing on LinkedIn. I literally just camp around waiting for a next Cass Whitaker drop, just so that I can, you know, uh, get excited about the work that we are also doing here. So, Cass, thank you so much for your time today. And I know you could have been doing way cooler things, like, I don't know, 10
Bowling.
pin bowling.
Yeah.
But you could
My average for anyone listening is 110. Not very good yet, but getting there.
Yeah, I know, humble, humble. Yeah, you say that they will write world's greatest on your statue one day, so don't you worry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was Cass Whitaker of Wordcraft, the creator, connector, and champion of clarity in a noisy world. I mean, from what you've heard from the call center corridors to message maker sprints and whatever imposter syndrome that came along the way, she has become somebody that you definitely need to follow and check out the content that she is creating. So if you've loved this story, I hope you have, because definitely this has been a creation of somebody who definitely found their true calling. I encourage you to stay tuned to our next episode where we unpack ideas for you to be able to live a happier existence and not just being productive. And if you're a small to medium business that is looking to really grow and be visible online, I definitely encourage you to check out what Cass is doing and see some of the work that she has done for others and see if that suits your way. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, stay prosperous, stay curious. May your message always land where it matters. Bye for now.